Welcome to episode 109 of Left Behind Game Club. This week we play Emily is Away. You can find all things Left Behind Game Club at leftbehindgame.club, on Twitter at leftbehindclub, and on Instagram at leftbehindgameclub. If you'd like talking about video games with great people, you can find the link to our Discord at leftbehindgame.club/Discord. Without further ado, let's recount our high school insecurities with Emily is Away. Let's get right into it. You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club. Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I have three friends with me. The first friend, you know him, you love him. His name is Michael Ruffalo.
I'm excited to talk about a very nostalgic game.
Here to talk about a nostalgic game with us are two-thirds of Cutscenes, the podcast, Travis Colenutt and Katie Lesperance. Travis, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Katie, how are you?
I'm also good, and I am ready.
We are here today to talk about Emily is Away, which is a game developed and published by Kyle Seeley. It was released in 2015 and is available for Windows, OS X, and Linux. It's a fun crew we brought together because Katie, Travis, and I have known each other since high school, since the early 2000s, and Mike and I have known each other for almost as long. So I think that there'll be tons of self-referential jokes that we'll have here about high school, about nostalgia. Let's just get into talking about Emily is Away. We'll start with our fast pitch, which is the segment of the show where we tell you in one sentence what this game is all about. Who wants to start?
I can start.
Bringing the energy today, guys.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I can start. So it is the social anxiety of seeing typing, deleting.
Oh, yep.
Very good.
Yep.
That's really good.
Mike, you're up next.
I would say that Emily is Away is recreating the experience of not knowing how to speak to girls and express your feelings as a teenager.
Travis?
Emily is Away is all of my teenage insecurities in a visual novel.
Oh.
I think that's the best one of them all, honestly. Yeah. And it also...
I'm going to keep it simple.
Hits home.
Oh, no.
And say it's ICQ the video game.
Oh my god, ICQ.
Okay, so
I did the thing.
I think this is where we stand to, I guess, make a note about the regionality of Messenger clients back in the day.
Yes.
Yes.
I know we are all based out of southwestern Ontario, and I didn't find this out until I was essentially, 18, 19. But MSN Messenger, which is the most common messaging platform, I think, in this area of the world at that time, is not actually the most common in many other places.
Really?
Yeah. It kind of blew my mind to find that out. And from what I understand, AIM Messenger, America Online or AOL Messenger, was the most popular throughout most of the United States. And I think that makes sense because if you think of the first ISP a lot of people had, it was AOL. So their messenger client became the de facto. And if I remember correctly, my very first ISP was Simpatico, and that had Bell MSN Messenger connected with it, or it was one of the things that they set you up with. So I think it's really interesting to hear all of the different messaging platforms that people used in different parts of the world. And I would love it when this goes live if people join the Discord and let us know what their messenger platform of choice was when they were an awkward teenager.
You can do that by AOL keyword Left Behind Game Club. That don't actually do that. You can,
I was like, wait, what?
Club.
You're really taking us
back. We have an AOL
back.
keyword. Thank you. Leftbehindgame.club/Discord is the way that you can do that. This game is told exclusively in like an ICQ or AOL Instant Messenger client on Windows XP. So apart, Mike, from bringing up the like regional stuff, like I got a huge throwback when the game booted up and it was like a pixelated version of Windows XP,
Yes.
logos and all.
And sound
Yes.
and that load up
Yes.
noise. Oh my god! I did
Yeah,
not
the
expect
boot up.
that. Yeah,
The boot up really triggers something in the
Yes.
back of your brain there, and you're like, oh, I am, I'm 14, 15 again. It was not the most comfortable thing in the world.
That shade of blue.
Oh, I
Just
know.
Yes.
the shade of blue everywhere.
I'm going to bring up a question from our community that came in from Links. They say, what embarrassing internet handle did you have in middle school or high school? I also want to know the username that you had for your playthrough of Emily is Away. They went by Kitty Naya, insert numbers here, for far too long. So I need to know, what were your instant messenger handles? Mine was Banjo Jake 112.
That's
There you
better
go.
than mine.
Oh.
It was bad.
Because you love Banjo-Kazooie?
I love Banjo-Kazooie, and my friends used to make really terrible sexual innuendos about Banjo and me 112 times in a day, but I digress.
Love
oh my
it.
god.
Yeah, that sounds like high school. You
Yeah.
think one thing's funny, and people just run with it forever and ever
Totally
and ever.
not.
No, it's not funny. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. I couldn't think of one because I was just like, I don't know what it should be. And then I asked a friend, I was like, just give me one, like just name me. So that's why this did not come from me. I don't remember the number at the end, but it was Glitzy Chica,
Wow. Wow.
which could not be less representative of
Yeah,
me.
Katie,
Yeah,
I don't
no.
know you that well, but that just
Yeah.
does not align with anything I know of you.
No, and Travis is crying.
Oh no, that's so bad.
It's so bad. That's as soon as you said it, I went, "Oh God, I can't not say it." But yeah, no, it was not great.
This is Jacob.
This one I
like-
chose Lesby for this game.
This is Jacob making us unveil our incredibly
Oh,
awkward
God.
origin stories. As he
My master
wrings
plan.
his hands very sinisterly.
Oh my god.
I will go next. So first I will let you know that my very first email address is was theroofisonfire@simpatico.ca. And where that comes from is
I
growing
think
up.
we all know.
Yeah, growing up.
The
roof.
The roof is on fire. Follow the leader.
We don't
leader,
need no
leader,
water.
Follow the leader. Sorry, Mike.
No, it's all good. My nickname as a kid was Roofy because my last name is Ruffalo.
Aye.
And I used to play soccer at every recess possible, and I had a talent, a real knack for kicking the soccer ball on the roof, and people thought it was incredibly punny and clever to nickname me Roofy. And as a kid, you have no context or connotation for what could go wrong with a nickname like that. And unfortunately, no teacher ever pulled me aside to let me know I might not want that to be my nickname.
No.
But my online screen name for the longest time was Roofy. And
no.
in this,
Also, you don't want your later in life wingman saying, "Hey, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Roofy."
yes, you nailed it.
Doesn't
Katie.
go over well.
You nailed it. Let me tell you, the moment I got rid of that nickname is when one of my friends walked into Mint nightclub and pointed across the room at me and yelled, "Roofy!" And
no.
I have never felt more fear than when the bouncer's head spun around, stared me deep into the eyes, and looked like I was moments away from death. So yes,
my God.
I have very, as you know, quickly gotten rid of that. And yeah, that is my origin story. And so that's the username I used. I role played this entire game as if it was me.
Nice.
Wow. Okay. Travis, you're the only one left.
Mine's not nearly as good because I didn't have friends to really give me suggestions. Probably. Oh, isn't it sad? Feel pity. But it's so it was Travo_89 was my first email, and then that was my thing for most of high school. That was my email for a bit, and then but what I used for this podcast or for this game is I used the user ID 47 because that was oh my god, I'm the biggest nerd in the world.
Yeah.
This was a username, and so it's 47, but it's written out. It's not the numbers, it's just written out. And it was a username I used for an old X-Men comic book message board for the longest time through late high school, early college years. and it was a reference to ABC's Alias starring Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, it was.
It was. So.
Which is perfectly appropriate for like the era that this game is set in.
Yep, real bad.
When did Alias was about the same era too?
Oh, it
wasn't
really was.
Yeah, I think it was like 02. I think it came out.
Here we go.
So this game is based in the early 2000s. You play as a self-named protagonist, and you speak to a girl named Emily, who you have a crush on, who you get to know over the years. And, you start in late high school and then talk to Emily through your entire 4-year college, 1 year at a time. You set your avatars to many wonderful cultural touchstones at the time. Coldplay, Snow Patrol, Britney Spears. There are tons more. Red Hot Chili Peppers. I need to know, last thing before we dive into the game itself, tell me what your favorite avatar was. I used an Usher avatar at one point.
Of course,
like in my feelings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I used Stadium Arcadium Red Hot Chili Peppers pick because at the time when that album was coming out, or that double album was coming out, I was so obsessed with it, it became the entire theme of my MySpace page. Just to take you back.
Oh my God!
So yes, that's where I was at.
This whole podcast is just throwing us all into our insecurities. It's really, I'm feeling real bad right now.
I feel great that I'm no longer that person.
I know. It's just
honest.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
We've
I had
come
a couple.
so far,
We have come so far. Look at us.
and in the end, it doesn't even matter.
No.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Just so
R.I.P.
everyone knows,
Chester
there's a Linkin
Bennington.
Park. There's a Linkin Park.
I would have
avatar as
picked a
well.
Linkin
Shows
Park
that.
one if there was a Linkin Park
There
one.
was
Yes.
one. There was
There
one.
was?
There was one.
Where?
There was an LP
Which one?
yeah.
Meteora.
I did not see
Yeah.
it. I think I was too obsessed with looking
That's
at...
what that was. I think I was
yeah.
looking at it because they're all very pixelated. Like
Yeah.
they're like, I think it's some copyright. Like that's not what it is, but it clearly is what it is. Or maybe they did clear it. I don't know. Because some of them are like Kill Bill was pretty obviously it says Kill Bill. It's just very pixelated. So I liked Kill Bill, and then I used the Green Day one too, American Idiot, because I really liked that album at the time.
Yeah, I think I picked like the Matrix one at one point, and then the Incredibles one at one point, and then I think we hit a year like 2006, and I was like, I don't like any of these things, so I went back and I picked the Matrix one again.
Nice. One quick thing before we dive in deep. We all played this game probably on either PC or Mac. But I needed to know, did you know anything about Emily is Away before we really got in, before we started playing it? This is a game that I've always wanted to play. It's free to play. You can play it with no issue. It's 45 minutes. So I was always into it, and I'm really glad we played it. But did you guys know anything about Emily's Away?
I knew absolutely nothing. Like, I was like, I feel like I've heard that name, but I didn't know anything. I didn't know that it was free to play. Didn't know how long it was. Nada.
Yeah, I had heard of the title, and that's about it. I didn't really have much context beyond that.
Yeah, me too. Nothing. I didn't even know this existed.
I didn't know it was going to hurt me that much. Bring me back.
I didn't know much either. I think that I watched a long play of Kind of Funny Do It back in the day. They did this a long play of the second one while drinking, which maybe I'll go back and watch after I play Emily's Away too. But that's all I knew about this game. So really excited to jump into it with y'all. Should we just go in and maybe talk about some of our highlights or some of the highlights of the story? Because it is a very quick game, but I feel like there's a lot of things that happen, and Emily will remember that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see if people had different things happen, if it was different at all, or if it was pretty much the same, but just that the details change. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think just the structure of this is you have one-on-one IM messages with Emily each year, and there's a different message for each year, and the decisions that you make in each of those years, whether you go to the party, whether you tell her how you feel, what you say about Travis, are things that she will remember and impact the end of the story. And not the wonderful Travis that we have with us, because Travis is not an a-hole.
Literally.
He's a wonderful human being.
It actually very much confused me because you're supposed to, at the beginning of the game, put your username in and then your real name, right? And the first thing that Emily asks you is if you're going to Travis's party. And then I was like, wait, I'm Travis. Why? I'm like, is she not supposed to know that I'm Travis? And I got confused about what was my name. I never see
That's
my name
unfortunate.
in. I never see my name in media. Like, it never is there. So I was just like, I don't know. So I exited out, and then I changed my name to Trevor to see if it was still going to say Travis, and it did say Travis. I was like, okay. So it just happens to be a very weird coincidence that she's asking me to go to my own party, but it wasn't my own party.
We had it was very weird for me to go through this, given that one of my best friends is named Travis, and then like we went to high school in the same era as this. Like we went a little bit later than this, but like there was also a character named Brad, and we also had a friend named Brad. So like it was a very bizarre thing for me to have a friend Travis, have a friend Brad, this be in the same era. Like I just got thrown back so hard. But Emily could date either Brad or Travis, but we don't like either of them.
She was with Brad in mine.
Brad.
She was with Travis
Brad.
in mine.
Okay.
There you go.
Really?
I don't. So I role played it, and I think I said, one, I did not like Coldplay. Two, because at the time I really disliked Coldplay. Now I think they're just they're a great band, makes pop music. I also said I did not like Travis, which hurt me because I know deep down Travis is a good person.
Oh, here we go.
Not even deep down. He's just a wonderful human being that brings joy to the world. And what else is there? Yeah, I was definitely afraid, and I did not go to the party. Did you all go to the party?
Yeah, I went to the party, but I didn't say I was going right away. I did the typical me thing, which is like, are you going? Because I'll go if you go. Because I'm not going to just go by myself if I don't know anyone, and that's very me. I'm not outgoing like that. So it's if you're going, I'm going to go. And then, if you're going, I'm going to go. And then I ended up going to the party because of it.
Yeah, I did a very similar thing where it was like, I didn't ask directly, but it's very clear very quickly that you and Emily are like really good friends. So she's like, are you coming? And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll come. But yeah, it was a similar thing where I wasn't like, yeah, let's go party. I was like, oh, okay, I'll come with.
The person that I was in high school was too afraid to go to parties and just played it off that he was too cool to go to parties. So I said,
Classic.
no, I'm not going because, Travis is an a-hole.
Yeah, I did something similar where I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the party, but later. Like, are you going to the party?" Yeah,
That's
she.
so cool.
I very much tried to play cool, but like was totally not cool, and then like put myself into the best friend column like way too fast.
Are we talking
That was
about
how I
real
played
life
this
or in the game?
No, we're talking about both. I want to be your friend. Sigh.
Oh, this game really digs deep.
It does. It super does. You know what the best part is, and I don't know if I'm going to keep this in or not. But sorry, I'm going to throw you under the bus here, Katie. Katie was my first girlfriend as well, which would have been at the same era, which is like another entire interesting, weird layer to this.
You mean Kitty Chica?
Banjo Jake and Kitty Chica.
Oh, it was Glitzy Chica.
Glitzy
God.
Chica.
It's
Sorry.
even better.
I'm
Even
This is
sorry.
why
better.
we're not together, because I don't listen.
Right? He didn't listen. God. Yeah. No, it didn't last long. What can you say?
Oh my god.
But we're
That's
better as
okay.
friends.
We are better as friends.
Oh my God.
Here
Some
we are.
flames just burn bright for a very short period of time,
Oh, anyway, Emily and your character grow apart, right?
Yeah, so year one is having a conversation about high school wrapping up and whether you're going to go to the party. I think year two is the first year of college.
Yeah.
Where you find out the fallout of that party, and in my case, that because you didn't go, she ends up with Travis, and they end up becoming a thing. And it sounds like it's a pretty toxic relationship. Is it the same situation if it's Brad?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. She's like, oh, like we fight a lot, and you're going, or like he's a jerk sometimes, and you're. I played everything very neutral, which is kind of how I kind of want to see how people feel. Like I don't like to pass judgment typically. Like I don't want to be like he's a jerk, I don't like him. It'd have to be pretty bad for me to say that, and I have done it. I have been like, you should break up with him, but usually I'll be like, yeah, he's all right. I just won't, I won't talk them up. But I kind of did the same thing where I was like, oh, what do you mean? What does that mean he's a jerk? It's like, well, you fight a lot. oh, what do you mean you fight a lot? Like, what does that mean? And so I would just kind of ask a lot of questions, and it was kind of that, where she's like, oh, it's nothing serious, but like, we just, we're two very, not passionate, but we're two very stubborn people. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So we get loud sometimes. And it's like, okay. And it doesn't sound great. Not like disastrous, but it doesn't sound like a good one to be in.
I took the same approach as being like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, like, how are you feeling? But I didn't take it from a I'm neutral perspective. I took it, like, my own perspective was a, see how good I am? Like, oh, look, I'm here for you. Like, you know, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'll listen. Yeah. Like, tell me about your problems, which I think I found myself in that scenario a lot in high school.
I think that's why you got friend zoned a lot.
A lot. It is. It's very true. I found myself in that scenario a lot where I like to be supportive and I want to be there for people and I want to help and I care. And because I care, I end up being the one that people will then vent to or complain to, right? And that scenario happened to me a lot in high school.
I think the caring nice guy is a later on acquired taste.
Yes,
for a lot of women. You get a little older, you're like, oh no, this guy's actually nice and funny,
yeah.
and he's nice to be around. Maybe I'll pick that one.
And you're not a loser.
No, it came around to you eventually.
Oh, yeah.
I am in the same boat as you, Travis. Like, nice guy, wanted to talk. And
nice guy.
That's when things. Sorry.
Nice guy with a fedora tip.
That's me. Nice guy. Here.
Yeah.
And that's when things change. Like in the second year, you hear that she's having a tough time, Emily, with her relationship, and you kind of extend your hand, and she offers to visit you at your college because you get to choose what kind of college program that you do. I think Mike and I probably chose business school. Because that's what we did. Travis probably picked an art program because that's what he wish he would have done.
Yeah, actually, I did pick the business one just because.
Oh, you did?
But the art one, I was like, oh, do I pick the art one? And I was like, I don't know where this is going to go. And so I tried to be realistic.
Because you also business program. Katie, what did you pick?
I picked engineering because it's more math and science. It's closer to what I do, but it was the closest. So I picked that one.
Okay, and so, like, I obviously said, Emily, like, of course you can come visit me. Like, come see me. Like, we'll hang out. I'll take you around campus. I'll show you the sights. And, like, we can be really good friends.
See, I did the same thing. I was like, yeah, let's visit. Or wait, no, sorry, that's later.
It's year 3. It's
year
2004.
3,
it's year 3.
Because you do a second visit, or do you only do
no,
one
I think
visit?
that's the only visit.
One. Yeah.
Okay, so I did that, but you mentioned that you are good friends, or at least in mine, mentioned that I was now good friends with this girl named Emma.
Yes.
Who you could kind of have the option of being like how interested you were in Emma, or how interested you wanted to tell Emily that you were in Emma. So I was like, I want to know how this is going with Emma. So I was like, yeah, come on over, but I set the boundaries. I was like, but we're, as long as it's just a friend thing. Like, as long as we're just friends, basically. And she's like, oh, yeah, nothing more than that. Absolutely.
You friend-zoned her.
You know what? Maybe Emily's not that great.
So Jacob's
just
not
saying.
the only one.
She's kind of whiny. She's kind of wishy-washy. She doesn't know what she wants. I'm like, maybe this Emma chick is the way to go.
I felt bad for Emily all along the way because she didn't have a person that she was like flirting with that felt comfortable enough to like say how he felt or say how they felt, I guess. In my case, he. Like it was just so painful because I was like, I've been here before. I know what this looks like. Just say what you feel, damn it. Get over it.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was expecting when she came, and we very quickly found out what happened.
So what ends up happening is
because I friend zoned her.
Oh,
what
right,
happened?
you friend zoned her. Oh,
yeah, I was like, no,
yeah.
boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
So I invited her over, and I said, no, you don't need to pick up alcohol on the way.
Me
I've
too.
got some here.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same.
And you end up doing the dirty.
Yeah.
Really?
Bumping funny bits. And then what you find out later in the subsequent year is that she did not especially feel comfortable with the situation and felt like things moved a little too fast and that it changed the relationship. Not that anyone was coerced, but that maybe it was a little pre-planned.
Yeah,
It moved fast, and she felt betrayed.
Yeah, she made a comment that like she felt like I maybe planned it that way.
Okay.
And I was like, oh no,
Or, like,
you
pushed.
completely misunderstood me. I was like, come
You
over,
don't know
we can
who Travis is.
Yeah, like you can just come over, we can hang out. I didn't when that fifth year came, and then it was like we hooked up, and I was like, uh-oh, we hooked up?
He didn't even
I
know.
have no recollection of this.
Also, classic Travis. He's like, what? Something happened?
Yeah.
So, they were interested? What?
Yeah, that's also me completely blind. So
Yeah, we hooked up, and I very much was like, I went into it being like, I'm not pre-planning this, but if it happens, like, great, as long as you feel comfortable. I was doing it on stream, and I was very uncomfortable when she was telling me about like what had happened, because I was like, oh no, am I a bad guy? Did I do a bad thing? And I was questioning every decision. I'm like, Jacob, it's a video game. You didn't do anything here.
With minimal decisions being made, really.
Yeah,
like,
no,
you're not like, then I do this. Like, it's like you lead in certain ways, and then things happen. No,
Yeah.
you're not a bad guy. It's okay.
But yeah, that was kind of what happened to me, and it ended really awkwardly. Katie, what happens to you since you don't invite her to come?
No, I did. So she came over,
Uh-huh.
but we were just friends. So we just like hung out, and then afterwards, I think it was like whatever the next year, she's like, "Oh, I really thought." See, she's doing both things. She's like, "I really thought something was going to happen."
Oh.
I was like, "Well, yeah." And so I'm like, "But I don't know." It was just like, "Well, I don't know. I didn't tell you how I felt, or I wish I'd have told you how I felt." And then she's like, "Oh, I don't know if you guys got this." That she says, "Oh, do you remember so many years ago at so and so's? It might have been at the party.
The party,
original
I think
party."
it's the
Or
Travis
she's like,
party.
"Oh, we go for a walk out by the schoolyard or something, and then we laid down next to each other, looked at the stars, and why didn't you kiss me?"
Yep. I
And
got
I'm
that
like-
conversation too.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think I said like, I didn't want to ruin things or something like that. And she's like, "Well, I wish you would have, and then I'm like, "I wish I would have," and then it's like, "Okay, so bye then."
I didn't want to ruin things was like my go-to thought at all times in all of high school and college. Even now.
I was going to say, and early 30s.
Yeah, early 30s. I didn't want to ruin things. That's literally motto of my life right now.
And then things kind of end.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you guys felt in 2006, but you're forced down a path, and I was just really sad when the game ended. Because you're
Yes.
making choices, but you're not making choices.
We should describe what it looks like. So at multiple points throughout the game, the way that you end up choosing dialogue is it gives you one of three options. You click on the one that you want, and then you just mash the keyboard, and it simulates the person typing that message, which, let me tell you, is a really head-screwy thing. If you decide to type out the message that you chose and see it then type out different words at times, it really screws with your perception of like what keys you're typing and what words are coming out. All of that to say, though, is you see the real like humanity in someone typing something and then feeling like it's too strong of a statement, and then deleting it and then filling it in and like toning it down, or removing what they actually feel to make it come across, to revise it to make them come across cooler or a different way. And you see this throughout the game, and it's only in the last conversation where all of the other years, Emily starts the conversation with you. And in the very last year, you start the conversation with Emily. And at least in my experience, and I assume this is the same for just about everyone else, the conversation is very one-sided. You ask her a question, she gives an answer. You ask another question, she gives an answer. There's no repartee, there's no volley back and forth in conversation. It's effectively done. And each time you're given a new prompt as to what you want to say, there's an honest option that says what your character is feeling. But when you click it, or when you start typing it out, your character actually just says something trivial that doesn't really mean anything and doesn't really convey that message.
Yeah, hey,
And
how
it's
are your classes?
kind of
What
heartbreaking
kind of movie are you
in
seeing?
a way. Yeah.
What about music?
Yeah.
It's really hard.
How's the weather?
There's like one of the options is this all we're ever going to be?
Yes.
And then ask that really trivial, like, how's the weather over there? And it is such a build-up for that conclusion in such a short game that it just left me with this really strong sense of melancholy.
Mm-hmm. That happening, and also it starts giving you an option to say goodbye. So you have two options, and the third option is to say goodbye. So I picked one of the first two options, like the honest one again, and then you ask something trivial again. And then the next time it gives you an honest question and then two goodbyes, like two options to say goodbye. So I picked the honest one again, and then the last one is just three goodbyes, and that's the only options that it gives to you. And it was, it's just sad where you're like, oh no, it's done. Like,
it's over.
There's nowhere to
it.
go from here, and you know it because all of your own options that you're thinking of are just goodbye. Like you're giving up on it pretty much, and there's no really option other than that. Like, obviously it hasn't gone anywhere, so you're like, I guess this is it.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, forgive me if I'm just projecting here, but I think this is a kind of a common experience that people have had on Messenger or on those messaging apps where you want to have a conversation with someone and they're just not giving you anything to go off of. And you just like, there's nothing left to say. You asked how the weather is, you asked how school or work was, and that's it. Like you can't go a whole lot further. And I think it's like very relatable. Like so much of this game struck major nostalgia chords, major power chord, major nostalgia power chords. And I think the way that it ends is it's just kind of excruciating.
It really is. I felt like melancholy is like the perfect word for it, because there's just this sense of, oh my God, what did I do? And like that relationship just completely deteriorated and it just got away from me. And, I don't know. It's such a strange feeling. And I don't know if I've really felt this way in a very long time. So it's very strange to suddenly be in a situation where, you can't be honest about your feelings and you can't talk about what you want to talk about, because I haven't experienced that in a very long time. And just to kind of be taken back like that 15 years to that kind of scenario, it's just like, ugh, terrible.
It immediately wanted me, like, I really wanted to just dive into the next game. Like, I was like, oh, this is incredibly my vibe. I was singing, like, Coldplay covers and Snow Patrol covers, reading them off of people's profiles, and, like, to have the game end the way it did after having, like, a really, like, joyous, nostalgic experience, I wanted to immediately dive into Emily is Away 2, that is a sequel that is longer, and also find out more information about Emily is Away less than 3, which I guess is the third game in the series, which is coming out soon.
I loved every year checking the different like song lyrics that people put in their statuses.
Oh, I didn't do this.
I loved it. It brought me like so far back in time. It was so relatable. It was it was one of my favorite little details of the game.
I saw your tiny clips because I didn't watch your stream because I didn't want to know how it had gone for you and how you felt and all that before we did the pod. But I saw, like, in passing, you looking at people's profiles, and I'm like, you could look at people's profiles? Because it would launch me straight in. Like, I didn't really get time to click on any profiles. So I was like, oh, damn it. Like, I missed this whole section that I would have loved to explore.
You missed a big part of the game.
I'm sure I did. I know.
It was so fun to, like, read like Don't Panic lyrics from Coldplay's first album and like sing about a beautiful world and yeah we do, like that to me was half the fun. Watching Brad and his dumb band have dumb like instant messenger chats about like I need a singer, I need a guitarist, blah, like Brad, that was half the fun.
I didn't even know this existed.
Like, I encourage you, if you somehow have made it to the end of this podcast and you have not played Emily is Away, like take your time with it and like click on one of your teachers is on your instant messenger as well.
Oh no.
And essentially funny. Gives like a like don't worry, I'm a cool teacher. Like that kind of vibe.
That's hilarious.
So highly recommend checking out those messages that you're playing and you haven't if you haven't played and are you listening to this.
Just to go back for a second, another thing that I thought it showed really well, and which even happens today with like texting, like it's not just an IM thing where you're trying to have like this in-depth conversation and you cannot read the real reaction of the other person. So you're both kind of trying to interpret these little like instant messages of these really important things and like tricky emotions. And these messages don't convey everything. So then you're like, well, that's not what I meant. Like, and what does she mean by that? And like, what does she actually mean? And what is she trying to ask me? Like, is she trying to poke at something, or is this just a comment that she made and it doesn't even mean anything? And I was like, oh, IMing. God.
Katie, I love that you're even having these like internal thoughts where you're like, but I did the talk and that is what it's like.
I think in most people's brains, like, whenever you're having like a serious conversation, but via texting, you're like, but what did that mean though?
You're
like,
questioning
what's the context?
You're literally questioning every single thing that the other person said, and whether or not what I said was interpreted correctly. Do I have to retype out what I said again? Do I have to re-say this? Oh no, that was a joke, or this was this. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many. You don't get those visual cues that you get when you're seeing someone face to face, right?
We've all had the thing where you've said something, and then we're like, oh no, that was a joke, because they take it very seriously, or they're offended or something. You're like, no, I didn't mean it that way. Like. So now the emojis are fantastic. They're the best thing ever.
And GIFs. GIFs do it all.
Yes. You get that perfect vibe GIF that you're like, this is what I mean.
Is there anything else that y'all want to talk about this game? The visual style, pixel art, the music is kind of minimal. You'll get the sounds when people, like the door sound when someone is like logging off, which was cool. But is there anything else, art style, music, or otherwise, that y'all want to dive into?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it. It's so short that like we've covered all this stuff, all of the emotions on the spectrum of emotions too. So like I don't really need to rehash any more feelings.
Yeah, I've already felt plenty bad playing it. So
we'll close with your final thoughts. I think that Emily's Away is a fantastic game that if you have an hour, like, and you were born in the late 80s, early 90s, like, there is no excuse for why you... No, wait, sorry. Time.
Yeah, no,
mid-80s.
If you're a millennial.
That's it.
Yeah, if you're a millennial.
Words. If you're a millennial, play this game.
Gen Z
Done.
would have no context for IM, right? I think they just went straight to Facebook.
Yeah,
I think it still translates to texting, though. They wouldn't get all the pop culture references. That would just be like, I don't care. That's old people stuff. But
yeah, because we're all between like 28.
I'm
27.
29. I'm going to be 30 this year.
Oh boy!
Oh right, we're all between 29 and like 32. So like this game hits hard. But if you're in this age range, you have no excuse. Like, find an hour, play Emily's Away. Katie, Travis, any final thoughts?
I think we pretty much covered everything. Yeah, it was a little bit heartbreaking. It was a little bit frustrating. It was sad. It was nostalgic. I really enjoyed playing it though. I think it was a perfect length. Like I think it was as far as size of the game. I think it did exactly what it wanted to do with the time it was given, and there's no fat on it to trim.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I would say same thing. I loved playing this game. I hated the way it made me feel, but I would still say play this game because, yeah, it's great. 45 minutes, it's done.
Yeah,
awesome.
I echo all of those sentiments. Great game. Recommend it to just about anyone.
Well, those are our thoughts about Emily is Away. You can find all things Left Behind Game Club at leftbehindgame.club, on Instagram at Left Behind Game Club, and on Twitter at Left Behind Club. If you liked the discussion we had, tell us what you thought about Emily is Away in the Left Behind Game Club Discord. You can find the link to that at leftbehindgame.club/Discord. Katie and Travis, I want to thank you both for coming on the show for again. I think you're both approaching like your 10th time on this podcast, and we always love it when the two of you are on here. So first, I want one of y'all to promote the podcast that the three of us do together, and then obviously talk about your socials as well. Who wants to talk about cutscenes?
I can give it a shot.
Sure.
Yeah, so Cutscenes, it's a video game movie podcast. It is myself, Katie, and Jacob. We essentially watch video game movies and TV, and we watch them, we review them, we talk about them, we give our takes. It's pretty much, that way you don't have to watch these terrible, terrible movies, and we'll make a decision as to whether or not you should see them or not.
Some have some redeeming qualities, though.
For sure.
And one of us will probably vouch for some aspect of it. I mean, there are exceptions.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I meant Grandma's Boy.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
exceptions
noticed, yeah.
to having redeemable aspects.
Yeah, that movie
but-
bad.
That movie bad. But usually one of us will be, a little bit passionate about some part of it and kind of fight the good fight.
It's a great time.
You can find that at cutscenes.ca, and you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at cutscenes_pod. Just listen. Season 2 launches on February 4th, so you can find us there. Travis, you've been on the show 15 times now.
Oh, my God.
Katie, you've been on the show 9 times. So thank you very much for your patronage. Where can people find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter. I'm Lesperance. Also in the Left Behind Discord. I'm pretty active in there. It's a great place. I love it. Everyone's super nice. There's a lot of good info. People posting kind of recommendations and game deals and Among Us games we set
I
up.
was just
A
going
lot
to
of
call you the
fun.
leader of the Among Us brigade.
Yes. We're like, Among Us? Among Us?
Among
Anybody?
Us?
Among
Anybody?
Us?
It's like a bunch of meerkats just
Yes.
like popping their heads out of the ground.
Hello?
And people can find you on Twitter at Lesperance.
Yes.
Cool. Travis, where can they find you?
I'm also on Twitter at Travis Colenutt, and I'm also in the Discord. Come find me. Come play Among Us. That's all I got to say.
Mike, where can folks find you?
The fine folks can find me in the Discord or at RuffaloM on most social places. And now my website is finally live, michaelruffalo.ca. It only took me about a year. But yes, you can find me in all of those places. Jacob, where can
And Michael-
people find you at?
This is your 86th podcast, Michael.
Amazing.
There you
Blown
go.
out of the water.
Wow.
They always feel like
you-
my first.
You can find me at Jacob McCord on all major social media platforms, primarily on Twitter. I do a little bit of TikTok, and I'm on Twitch as well, so find me at twitch.tv/Jacob McCord. I'm starting something new up either in February or March around trivia, so please, if you like the show and you find me not so annoying, please give me a follow on Twitch. I really appreciate it. This is my 107th podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So there you go. I just like rubbing it in everyone's faces. Michael, what do we say to the fine folks that listen to the show at the end of every one of our episodes?
And that, my friends, is one less game left behind.